Welcome. Today, we're rolling out the red carpet for the not-so-finest in blue who turned the law into a personal game of Monopoly. From Sheriff Charles Reader's charitable gambling to Officer Nouman Raja's tragic misfire, we've got a lineup that'll make you laugh, cringe, and cheer for justice. Sentencing of corrupt Sheriff Charles Reader. Let's begin with Sheriff Charles Reader, the lawman who mistook the evidence room for a personal ATM. Reader, our modern-day Robin Hood, thought he could rob from the seas to feed his own vices. Picture this: a sheriff sworn to protect, dipping into confiscated funds like a kid in a candy store, all to fuel a gambling habit that would make Vegas blush. The courtroom was a stage, and boy, did he put on a show. With tears streaming down his face, Reader played the part of a repentant sinner to AT. He wasn't just crying a river, he was building a dam with his sob story. He lamented the impact of his potential incarceration on his family, pulling at his heartstrings like a maestro. But Judge Patricia Cosgrove? She wasn't there for the theatrics. She donned her justice glasses and saw right through the act. Reader's plea was rich, richer than he was after those gambling losses. He spoke of charity, of mistakes, of a life dedicated to service.
I'm asking all this so that I have the opportunity to watch my son graduate from high school and attend college this year. My daughter is getting married in October, so that I can be there for her. And my wife, so that I can be a husband that I haven't been in 25 years due to my career. I've just not been there. Given the opportunity, I would be able to spend the time with my mother and my father and continue to be there for them when they need me. In the last years of their lives, as I've experienced this week with my dad, when 2 days ago I thought that I had lost him.
He's still at Riverside, isn't
Yes, ma'am.
he? He's not on a ventilator.
He is on, he's on 2 forms of ventilation without the actual
Well, that's
tube.
not what the nurse said, but okay. He's got some oxygen and breathing equipment, but it's not a ventilator.
But the only service the judge was interested in was the delivery of justice, hot and fresh. And deliver she did, with a side of cold, hard reality. Reader's sentence? A 6.5-year vacation at the state's expense, with a 3-year minimum stay. Talk about a bad bet. As he was led away, Reader's final act was to remind everyone of his love for his family. A touching moment, if only it hadn't been overshadowed by his love for blackjack and poker. So, if you're going to gamble, maybe don't bet your freedom on it. Let's have some words from our legal Larry.
In the game of law, bluffing with a bad hand only gets you a one-way ticket to the slammer. And there you have it, a reminder that when you gamble with the law, the house always wins. Sheriff Reader's downfall serves as a cautionary tale.
Shooting by Officer Nouman Raja. Let's take a stroll down the Hall of Justice, where Officer Nouman Raja's story unfolds like a Shakespearean tragedy, with a modern-day twist. Picture this: Corey Jones, a man whose evening had already taken a turn for the worse with his car breaking down. Little did he know, his misfortune was about to escalate from mechanical failure to a fatal encounter. Enter Officer Nouman Raja, the lawman who must have been absent when they taught the chapter on de-escalation. Instead of offering aid, Raja transformed a routine check into a scene straight out of a gritty cop drama, minus the script and the stunt doubles. The result? A senseless shooting that turned the quiet night air into a cacophony of chaos and calamity. Fast forward to the courtroom, where the stage was set for a different kind of drama, one where justice was the star, and Raja played the villain. His performance was compelling, eyes welling up, voice quivering, every gesture begging for a sliver of mercy. But this was no silver screen where tears could rewrite the script. This was real life, and Judge Joseph Marks was not in the business of handing out Hollywood endings. With a voice that resonated with the gravity of the moment, Judge Marks delivered a sentence that reverberated across the courtroom and beyond. 25 years. It was a verdict that spoke volumes, affirming that the law holds its guardians to the highest standard, and when they falter, the fall is long and hard. As Raja was led away, the courtroom was left in a somber reflection of the fine line that law enforcers walk, a line that, when crossed, can turn protectors into prisoners. Larry, what do you think?
Okay, so a badge may grant authority, but cross the line, and you'll find the scales of justice tip hard and fast. In the end, Raja's tale serves as a grim parable for those who don the uniform. It's an example set for all that the power vested in law enforcement is not a personal arsenal but a public trust. Betray that, and you'll find that justice, while blind, is far from forgetful.
Trial of former police chief Daniel Saylor. Former police chief Daniel Saylor's saga stands out like a sore thumb at a manicure convention. Saylor, once the esteemed chief of the force, found himself in the defendant's chair, facing perjury charges that would make Pinocchio blush. His crime? Lying under oath to protect his buddy, Scott Bush, who was on trial for assaulting 2 young girls. It's the kind of plot twist you'd expect in a legal thriller, not in the biography of a police chief. The courtroom became Saylor's stage, but this was no Broadway show. It was a real-life drama where the stakes were higher than his former rank. Saylor, perhaps mistaking the courtroom for a theater, gave a performance that could only be described as a masterclass in melodrama.
I believe what I said was the truth. I'm a single father with a daughter. I've served my country in the state of Florida for many years, and I find myself in this position now. I don't know what to say, Your Honors. Please have mercy on me.
With tears that seemed to flow on cue and a voice quivering with emotion, he played the part of the misunderstood hero, tragically caught in a web of his own making. But the jury wasn't there for a matinee performance. They were there to weigh the evidence, and it didn't take them long. In just over an hour, less time than it takes to watch a crime procedural on TV, they saw through the charade and delivered a verdict that echoed through the hallowed halls of justice. Guilty as charged. As the reality of his situation dawned on him, Saylor's theatrical facade crumbled. His parting act, a tearful "I love you" to his parents in the gallery, was a poignant reminder that behind every badge, there's a human story, sometimes flawed, sometimes tragic. Hey Larry, say something.
In the court's eyes, a badge amplifies the crime. Perjury, especially to shield the guilty, is a fast track to a fall from grace. Saylor's tale is a reminder to those in power. The law is a double-edged sword, and when wielded unwisely, it cuts deep. It's a lesson in integrity, a cautionary tale that even those who enforce the law are not above it.
Deputy Zachary Wester's corruption. Deputy Zachary Wester, a man who fancied himself a modern-day Houdini in the world of law enforcement. Wester's act? Planting illegal substances in unsuspecting motorists' cars during traffic stops. His grand illusion was to make drugs appear as if by magic, but unlike a true magician, he failed to keep the audience, namely, the justice system, enthralled. Wester's sleight of hand might have been impressive if it weren't so egregiously unlawful. He thought he could simply turn off his body camera to make any evidence of his trickery disappear. Abracadabra, he might have whispered, expecting his misdeeds to vanish into thin air. But what our bumbling deputy didn't count on was the tenacity of the truth. It's stubborn, and it doesn't like being shoved in a hat. The plot thickened when Wester's reports, which should have been a symphony of law and order, played out of tune with the silent songs of his bodycam footage. It was the kind of discrepancy that would make even a rookie detective's ears perk up. And perk up they did.
You've robbed me of my credibility being a mother and a grandmother for the last 3 years. I've probably missed 1.5 years of my grandbaby's life because of this.
But most importantly, his absence does not allow him to continue to take care and serve the most important thing in his life, me. Not only is he missing in our home, but also the homes of our friends.
The prosecutors, with a flourish worthy of a courtroom drama, laid bare the inconsistencies. It was a gotcha moment that would have made any crime show proud. The jury didn't need a magical crystal ball to see the truth. They found Wester guilty on a staggering 19 out of 67 charges. The gavel struck with a finality that echoed not just in the courtroom, but across the nation, signaling the end of Wester's ill-conceived performance. Sentenced to 12 years behind bars, Wester's new captive audience would be his fellow inmates, and the only bars he'd be seeing were the ones on his cell window. Now Larry will give us a legal quip.
When the badge turns to badgery, justice pulls the ultimate rabbit out of the hat: accountability. In the end, Wester's tale shows us that in the magic show of justice, the truth is the greatest illusionist, ensuring that those who betray the badge find themselves not at a curtain call, but at the receiving end of a judicial bow.